Hello, everyone. I'm Yasmin, family relationship coach, and I'm so happy to have you join me today for a little Q&A session I'll be sharing. I've chosen a great question for today, which touches on the theme of sending gifts over the holidays to family members you may be separated from. So it's a perfectly timed question to look at, and I know that this really speaks to the heart of many. But to start with, I just want to remind everyone to always remember to embrace what you like from my suggestions and advice, but always listen to your own instincts too. You know intimately all the parts of your relationship, the character of your family member, the history of interaction, and the history of responses that you've received in the past. And because of that truth, I always like to encourage everyone to use your personal judgment when listening to my suggestions or the suggestions from anyone else for that matter. Always trust your personal knowledge and have confidence in your own thoughts too. And always take steps that you feel comfortable with or that work for you. Don't ever put pressure on yourself to follow my advice or the advice of anyone else. Each of us are at different stages within our family relationships. Each of us have our own personal levels of comfort, confidence, and strengths. And each of us have different characters we're dealing with in our family member. So please, when listening to suggestions and ideas, always take into consideration your own feelings, your own comfort levels, and also what works for you. Also remember that these Q&A discussions are not intended to replace therapy or counseling. So if you are feeling overwhelmed and having trouble coping, then please always remember the option to seek counseling or therapy if needed and really look after yourself. There's only so much we can cover in a little discussion, so don't ever feel afraid to seek further help as needed. So I'll read out the question for all of us and then I'll start some discussion. So the question I have over here: I'm estranged from my son and I'm working through that and taking the steps to cope with that. But my question today is focused on my relationship with my grandson. Before the estrangement, I had a really close relationship with my grandson. I helped look after him while my son and daughter in law were working. So I developed a really close relationship with my grandson. So now it obviously really hurts that I've lost that and lost my grandson from my life. And I also feel great sadness for my grandson because he doesn't have his grandmother in his life anymore. And I think he has also lost a beautiful relationship too. And now being the holidays, I just wonder if I can reach out to just my grandson and let him know I love him, send him a gift maybe. I don't need to impose on my son, but I'm hoping there's a way I can share love with my grandson still. So I'm wondering what you suggest for the holidays. Okay, so firstly, thank you for sharing so openly with us through your question. And I'm always so sorry to hear about this truth. It is very sad and hard to lose the relationship with grandchildren or any children through family conflict. It is incredibly painful when children are involved and we lose the connection we had with them. And also, we lose the chance to express our love openly. And I'm so sorry that you have to experience that on top of the separation with your son. So thank you for your question. I really know that that is going to speak to the hearts of many. So it's a wonderful question to share with us today. Because like all questions, I think that many of us can relate to the elements involved, and the discussion can really help so many of us. Especially the focus on this question being the holidays and the question of whether to send gifts and whether to send expressions of love. This is certainly on the minds of many, so I'm happy that we can discuss that today. So let's look at your question and your focus is, and the focus being that, is it okay to send a gift or something to let your grandson know that you love him and something to keep the relationship alive? So my first thought is, have you asked your son if this is okay? I'm wondering if you have at least some sort of connection where you're able to communicate and send messages, or at least ask your son if you can be involved in your grandson's life. Now, again, this might be an obvious thing that you have done, and it might be something that you've already done, but I'm wondering if that connection exists. So that is my first thought. And if you do have open communication or feel that you can ask things and get a reply, then that would be my first suggestion, to send a message or an email and let your son know that you would like to send something to your grandson for the holidays. And in your message, ask that your son let you know if it's not okay. And I'm going to say why this is important. I always recommend that request because you want to create the least amount of work for your family member and you don't want to put any pressure on them. So asking for a no removes both pressure from your family member, but also removes the need for you to wait for a reply that you might not get. So, if that is possible, I would do that as my first step and see what your son says. Now, if you don't have open communication, and many people don't, and if you don't feel like you can interact with your son, then I would do the following. I would still take that first step, just as I suggested. I would send a message, a text, a letter, some form of communication expressing exactly what we just discussed, that you would like to send your grandson something over the holidays. And please let me know if this is not allowed. I would wait maybe a week or a little bit longer, depending on how much time you have before Christmas or the holidays. Then I would prepare something to send your grandson and send it. This way, you've announced your intentions, you've prepared your son, and you've warned him. Also, the other reason why I confidently suggest this, which is something I would confidently suggest to anyone actually thinking about sending gifts over the holidays, but especially for this question, there is the truth that you had a very close relationship with your grandson before the estrangement. So he knows you, he sees you as his grandmother, he knows you as his grandmother, and also your son would know this truth too. So it's not unnatural or it's not foreign or invasive to your grandson to have you send him a gift. It is a very normal thing for a relative to do over the holidays. And actually, it's probably the most normal time of the year to do exactly that because we're used to receiving contact from relatives we don't see over the holidays. So, again, this is a very relaxed and acceptable course of action to take over the holidays. So, I really do encourage it. And I think it's a beautiful thing for you to do and not feel like you're doing something intrusive. But, like I said, to show respect for your son, then definitely send a note or a message ahead of time to let him know that your wishes are to send something. Even if he doesn't reply, you've done the right thing to respect his wishes and his personal space. And like always, whenever we reach out or whenever we send gifts or attempt any type of reconnection, do so with love being the focus and do so almost expecting that you won't get a reply, especially when children are involved. They're young and without the means to easily send things back or send communication back. And they're also mindful of keeping the peace at home and following the actions and the wishes of their parents, which is a whole other topic for discussion. But from your question, I'm guessing that your grandson still lives at home with his parents. So he's still young and might not be independent enough yet for him to be able to communicate with you and seek a relationship. So, in answer to your question, follow your heart. Reach out to your son and announce your thoughts. Again, with the reminder to include the phrase, please let me know if it's not okay to send him something over the holidays. Then I would prepare and send something to your grandson and really focus on your true intentions, which is to send love over the holidays and be his grandmother, which in itself is what I see as being the greatest gift you are giving him. Now, obviously, if you do hear back from your son, and this is advice for everyone as well, and if your son asks that you don't send anything, then as hard and as sad and as unfair as it may seem, you need to respect that. And remember a few things if this does happen. Firstly, the holidays are incredibly stressful and a heightened emotional time for everyone. So it's not always a good time to try reconnection because everyone is very reactionary. Also, if your son does message to say it's not allowed, then also remember that he feels that way. Then chances are that your gift would possibly not even have likely been received by your grandson anyway. Chances are that if your son feels that way, he may not have collected the mail and given it to your grandson when he saw it was from you. Now, again, as hard as that is to bear, that is a truth you need to be aware of. And it would obviously cause great stress for your son too. And all these things just show that the timing is not right. It doesn't mean things won't change. It just means that for now, over the holidays, your son's emotions are too reactionary and the time is just not right. But if you don't get a refusal to your messages, then follow your heart and send something to your grandson. So I hope that helps. And I hope that helps everyone watching and listening today who are thinking of whether to send gifts and communication over the holidays. I'll be sharing more holiday-focused Q&A discussion over the next few weeks, so I hope to stay connected with everyone and for all of us to make it through the holidays together. If you do need extra help and support, then please explore the links below this video for more help and resources. Thank you for being with me today. As always, sending love to all, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.